if you are doing something that you don't want your competitor to see, for example, if you're tracking a certain company size,
Mhm.
you can use that Google Doc or spreadsheet index that Tyler showed at the beginning to obfuscate some of those parameters. Because if you're in a really highly competitive market, your competitor, these URLs are out there, right? So it's a small subtlety, but your competitors will look at that if you're in a very competitive market. So one detail about that. Another thing to mention about the kind of siloed or bubble uh,
Mhm.
situation is that, sometimes you're running a LinkedIn ad, so much more about those people because it's LinkedIn than Facebook. So all of a sudden you have data, retargeting audience that's super specific. So, just keeping that organized by campaign, you can then retarget to another platform, for example. So that's another thing to consider.
I really think the main thing, and we've hit on it before, is consistency. It's easy to make this up as you go. And to some degree, almost everybody starts out doing that because you're experimenting and you try something and then it works for a while. And then you realize that now you have a different perspective and you want to track a little differently. And it kind of is a bit of a moving target. So it bears, once you've got a handle on how these work and how they will appear in your reporting, it's really about how you want this to appear in your reporting, either in Google Analytics or if you're using Google Data Studio or even on the back end via your CRM, if it's HubSpot or however you're going to do that. Planning ahead and building out that matrix like Tyler showed earlier in the discussion today, where you have it built even where you use the data validation in Google Sheets, if you're familiar with that, or in Excel, to restrict what you can put in. I mean, if you're always going to use paid social for every paid post that you do on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, then you don't want to use social one time, paid another, CPC another time, and paid social. You want it to always be paid -social. Honestly, making it up on the fly is going to be better than not tagging at all, and it's a good way to learn. But if you're going to get real serious about marketing tracking, you want to be very intentional about how you create these UTM parameters.
The added benefit there is this really forces you to plan and structure your campaigns. Think about what's important for you to be tracking, which oftentimes we find leads people to be thinking about and keeping their eye on the prize there instead of getting lost in the weeds and the details around images and language and things like that. Really keeps you focused